Ted Hirshfield is with B. Riley FBR. He's the Director of Corporate Restructuring, and we welcome you to M&A TV.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. And of course, you just spoke at the symposium. Okay, we're going to talk about industries that are currently under stress right now, because this is your world.
Yep.
Okay, so what specific industries can we talk about?
Well, there's one that we've noticed that's going through some issues right now. It's in the consumer goods space, but more specifically the grocery store chains.
Yes.
Because their margins are very thin to begin with, generally in the 4 to 6% gross margin range or EBITDA margin range. And there's a tremendous shortage in the transportation sector in drivers. I think I read that there was a shortage of around 50,000 drivers because of all the drivers needed for the Amazons of the world and Walmart of the world, that they're taking up all the drivers, and the other sectors that still need transportation can't find quality drivers. So they are incentivizing people to come become drivers, and it's costing businesses a lot more money. And also insurance costs have gone up because these drivers aren't as skilled. So they're having accidents, and so insurance and just the cost of getting drivers into the seats hurts the grocery store chains because the margins are so thin.
Sure.
So, one thing we can do as an advisor, if they have to go through bankruptcy, and grocery store chains they're not bad for bankruptcy because hopefully there's some good stores, some bad stores, and you're able to close the bad stores, reject the leases, and start with a fresh footprint that hopefully is a little more profitable.
Well, people look at bankruptcy as something to fear, but when your profit margins are that small and you go into bankruptcy, that really does present you with a fresh start.
Yep.
And so that it can be a positive thing.
It definitely can be. In some cases, restructuring or bankruptcy is the best thing because it enables you to get out of some unprofitable contracts. It could be in a grocery store chain, whoever is providing you with your food. You might have a contract that is automatically going to put you in trouble because the margins on that contract are not good. So it can have more competition. It can bring in new contracts. You could close some stores and have, maybe there's some locations that are further away that you say, you know what, let's get out of that region and let's focus on the region closer to our headquarters.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to streamline, become more efficient, and hopefully more profitable as well.
Of course.
What other industries right now, besides the grocery store, the consumer products?
Obviously healthcare is something that everyone's talking about, and pharma. But healthcare with Medicare and Medicaid, they're slow payers. And it's a working capital issue that is creating a lot of issues.
But when bankruptcy occurs in that industry, it's very different from consumer products.
It's very different. I haven't worked on any, but not yet. But yes, it's very different. Yeah.
As you look into your crystal ball, are you seeing anything just as investors and as consumers in general? Are there any particular industries that we need to be keeping an eye on that aren't distressed right now?
That aren't distressed right now. I mean, just being at this summit and talking with people, everyone's saying keep an eye on auto parts. Yeah, the tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers, even though some of them, they came out of the Great Recession of 10 years ago, they're having issues now. Plants are closing, as we know, in the U.S. That could be something that we keep an eye on in the future.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Obviously there were lessons learned from 2008.
Right.
And how can we apply them to what's going on today?
It's a different world today because it used to be the banks would be the ones that were the source of capital. Now there's so many more debt funds.
That's true.
And there's so much more liquidity that for years companies have been able to avoid bankruptcy because they can refinance because there's so much liquidity out there.
Sure.
Or the lender themselves renegotiate the terms of their current facility just to keep it out of bankruptcy and sort of kick the can down the road for another day. So at some point it's going to maybe come to a head, but with the amount of liquidity out there and everyone's looking for something, you can, a lot of cases you think you're headed towards bankruptcy, but someone will come in and give you some money that you didn't think you can get.
So we really are in a better place than we were 10 years ago when it comes to facing distressed markets.
In some ways, yes.
In some ways,
Yes.
and in some industries, and
Yes.
some industries not so much.
Right,
All right,
right.
Ted, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
being
having
with
me. I
us
appreciate
today. Ted Hirshfield again with B. Riley FBR, and he is the Director of Corporate Restructuring. We appreciate you being with us on
Thank you very
M&A
much.
TV.